This week, we check in with special correspondent Kaja Marie Snare on the state of Magnus in the state of Norway. The London Chess Classic moves on to the second half. Should still be anybody's game to win. We show you the leaders. And of course, everyone's talking about the fact that Kirsan stepped down. Will it be for good? Should it be for good? It's ChessCenter. It's the only show you must watch every week right now. Well, and as I ended our intro segment, Sean, we, of course, have to kick off this week's ChessCenter with the big news of Kirsan Ilyumzhinov stepping down, maybe temporarily, maybe for good, who knows. Obviously, there's a lot of factors going into this decision, but I want to know what your opinion is on the potential repercussions and if you like this move or if you understand at least the reasoning behind it.
Yeah, I actually want to support Kirsan here. I think this is the right move. Maybe suing the United States for $50 billion isn't that smart, but removing himself from the FIDE picture at this point is just good business. We want to have the World Championship in the United States in 2016, and since sponsors require a treasury notice, Kirsan being in the mix here would just make things complicated. So by removing himself from the picture, he really clears the path.
I agree, and I think as controversial as it seems, and maybe some of his haters will use this as a reason to say, you know, told you so, and maybe they're right. But I think that if you're a responsible leader, you got to take yourself out of the picture here for the bigger goals of chess, and he did just that. Now, joining us from the London Chess Classic are two of our regular hosts who just couldn't be here because they got to cover all the action there. Hey, guys, how's it going?
And thank you, Danny. We are here live at the London Classic. A couple of the early rounds are in the books, and Grandmaster Robert Hess is here to tell us about some of the key early games.
Yeah, Mike, it's been a really interesting battle at the beginning of this tournament. Veselin Topalov lost a few games. He's actually buoyed the leaders in Anish Giri and Maxime Vachier-Lagrave. And Hikaru Nakamura had a fine victory over former world champion Viswanathan Anand.
Yeah, real fall from grace from Topalov early. Now, you studied that Nakamura win over Vichy in depth. Could you find fault in Nakamura's play?
You know, Mike, Hikaru played a game that would make Liu Kang very proud. It was a flawless victory. I couldn't find anything wrong with his play.
Nice analogy there. After the game, Hikaru Nakamura said that he thinks stylistically he's very similar to Vichy. Do you agree with that?
Mike, I would say they are quite similar in style. They both play very solid positional chess, but Hikaru is a more tactical player.
And besides the Classic, we've got many other events going on here. We had the British Knockout Championship. There was also a conference mostly focusing on chess and society. We learned things like chess being a treatment for ADHD, chess being a treatment for drug addiction, and various other educational initiatives going on around the world. Participants came from as far away as Australia, South Africa, and of course continental Europe.
Awesome
Also,
stuff.
each morning, about 400 kids from all over the UK are coming to play in a tournament and get a very funny lecture from Grandmasters Chris Ward and Danny King.
Wish I was
now,
there.
a few days ago, Chess.com caught up with Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen. We asked him about this long-running series with Vichy Anand and what he could make it analogous to in sports. Let's have that clip right now. You guys have played probably more than anybody over the last 2 years. You're a big fan of sports. Is this kind of like Rocky versus Apollo, or do you have a better metaphor for us?
Well, today it was two punch-drunk idiots.
Thanks very much for your time. The thoughts by the world champion. Now back to the studio.
Funny
And
stuff.
back to the Grand Chess Tour. We'll close by giving you some answers to a question that a couple of the Grandmasters were asked before this event began. They were asked if there was a fourth leg of the Grand Chess Tour, where would that ideal location be? Hikaru Nakamura said he'd like to see a leg added in Shanghai, China. Grandmaster Magnus Carlsen said he'd like to play in New York City. Of course, he might get his chance sooner rather than later. New York is one of two finalists, we are told, for the World Championship. We're still waiting that announcement. Robert, you're from New York. What do you think the best venue in New York City is for a possible World Championship?
Mike, with the Brooklyn Nets playing terrible basketball, I think the Barclays Center in Brooklyn would make a very fine venue for the World Chess Championship.
Magnus would have to agree. He's a very big NBA fan. Well, that's it from the London Classic. Now back to the folks in the studio.
Thanks, guys. Love your work. Love the coverage on site. Follow all of Mike's news reports at chess.com/news and look for analysis by Robert Hess, who is on site analyzing all the top games as soon as they're finished. Thank you both. And for our Move and Blunder of the Week segments this week, we have a all-titled Tuesday special. Joining us here, Grandmaster Max Dlugy, making his premiere on ChessCenter, and he pulled out all the stops, getting his favorite shirt on, right, Max?
Yeah, I love this shirt and I love to be here. It's and it's going to be pretty exciting what we're going to look at today.
And we're excited to have you. We're going to start off on the good side of things with the move of the week. And here we chose a game because it was a move that never really was. Playing the black pieces, women's FIDE master Nastya Pro actually played the correct move here when she played rook takes d4, recognizing that she was forced to sacrifice the exchange and head for this long endgame down the exchange for a pawn. But Max, why don't you tell everybody what was the move of the week that we chose just for this game if black had played queen takes a3?
Yeah, here white had a phenomenal sacrifice, a queen sacrifice. I always love those. Queen takes pawn is a lead-in to a beautiful mate. Check this out. If pawn takes queen, rook b8, king c7, and now not rook b7 because the king has the escape card, but bishop e5, taking out the last d6 escape square from black, and then whatever black puts on d6, we slap down the rook on b7 and it's over. Checkmate. So that would have been really exciting, but Nastya Pro was a real pro there, and she did not go for this.
No, she recognized it. And what would you say is advice for someone whenever your opponent plays a move like this? Obviously, Nastya was able to recognize the sneaky goal of removing the queen's protection of the pawn. And even after white sacrifices the queen, if you had a student playing black, what advice would you give here?
Well, I would say don't play automatic. Think. If your opponent's sacking a queen, look, maybe you have other moves because he may be up to something. And here, of course, we can't take the queen. We have rook c7 as a possibility. The queen has to retreat. There's no immediate mate, and black may yet live another day.
Right.
Although it would be tough defense for black at this point.
But still, it's good advice to always assume your opponent's sacking a queen for a good reason. And we give the move of the week for the move that never was to stick with our Title Tuesday theme, and we will see Max Dlugy on the dark side of things when we get to Blunder of the Week in just a few minutes.
Yes, we will. Thank you.
With the major event being the London Chess Classic, our social channel chatter segment is going to be covering a slightly different angle. An incredibly interesting and funny video was released by the organizers of the London Chess Classic, sort of a takeoff of what was done at the Sinquefield Cup, where some trash talk took place, but here had all the players giving just their one-word, mostly positive opinions on their competitors. Sean, a couple questions for you. One, which video did you like better? Which one do you think was more interesting? The trash talk angle, where they were sort of encouraged to give maybe negative opinions, or did you find this one just as interesting? And we'll see what the audience thinks as well.
Well, yeah, I found them. It's really hard to compare them, even though they're so similar. The trash talking one just left me laughing really hard, so I really enjoyed it. But after watching this video, I felt warm and fuzzy inside. So it's hard for me to kind of compare the apples and oranges of those. But that's not to say that this video was entirely devoid of trash talking. Magnus Carlsen did call Nakamura decent.
Is decent a compliment from Magnus? That's the question, right? I mean,
to me, it would
I wonder sometimes if the Magnus and Caro feud at this point is just for the cameras. I think there was some genuine hostility early in their careers. I get the feeling now it's kind of Magnus almost had a small grin after he said it, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And there were some other comments, I agree, things like calling, I think someone called Geary cocky, and either way, there were some shots fired, but overall the positive feeling to me got me just excited about this tournament as the Sinquefield Cup one did, and I hope that organizers will take the lead of adding some face to the personalities of these top players as more and more major tournaments happen. Well, now joining us, of course, for other news is Peter Doggers, as Mike Klein is in London. Peter, what do you have for us going on outside the chess world that isn't the London Classic?
Hi, Danny. Yeah, well, the biggest story in other news this week is still about Kirsan Ilyumzhinov.
Of course.
Last week, we reported about the FIDE president being sanctioned by the U.S. Department of the Treasury for supporting the Syrian government financially. This weekend, a meeting of the presidential board took place in Athens. And at that meeting, as it turns out, Ilyumzhinov has stepped down as FIDE president. Well, maybe stepping down is too strong a term.
How so?
According to the FIDE website, he has withdrawn from any legal, financial and business operations while dealing with the Treasury Department.
Yeah, it's strange. I'm sure this gives lots of his naysayers things to talk about.
Yeah, well, Garry Kasparov, Ilyumzhinov's opponent in the FIDE presidential elections last year, has posted a 700-word statement on Facebook where he does not mince words. For example, he says, Already, some chess officials are optimistically stating the crisis for FIDE begins and ends with Ilyumzhinov. This is very unlikely. He did not just abuse his position, but the organization itself, and he could not do this alone. As with the FIFA corruption scandal, it will continue to develop as the investigation digs deeper and the rats try to save themselves on the backs of their brothers. So some strong words from Kasparov there.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ilyumzhinov himself is planning to sue the United States for $50 billion in moral damages.
A lot of money.
Ilya Marenzon, the owner of the company Aegon, that holds the commercial rights to organize the 2016 World Championship match, told Chess.com that Ilyumzhinov's decision will have a positive effect on closing a deal for the match.
Okay.
It will make it easier. Sponsors would require treasury clearance, and now that's not an issue anymore. It was one of the reasons he didn't want to damage relations with sponsors, including ours.
It's very interesting and a good move then.
In other news, in Israel, a strong tournament has started, organized by the Association of Chess Professionals, together with the municipality of Ashdod, where the tournament is held. Some strong players are playing for a $10,000 first prize, including Vasily Ivanchuk, Jan Nepomniachtchi, and Boris Gelfand. The youngest grandmaster in the world, the American player Sam Sevian, is also there. The format is 2 preliminary groups, followed by semifinals and the final. Next week we'll certainly return to this event.
Yeah, definitely.
And my
Nice
last
to get an
topic
update.
is about the Tata Steel chess tournament in Wijk aan Zee in January. We knew already of the participants of the Masters group,
Right.
which includes Magnus Carlsen, and now the field of the Challengers group has been announced as well. Notable participants this year are the aforementioned Sam Sevian, who will face, among others, the youngest grandmaster in the Netherlands, Jordan van Foreest. That's already next month, and I can also share with you that Chess.com is the official broadcast partner for Tata Steel.
Yay. Making it official.
All right, thanks Danny, see you next week.
Well, we appreciate it, Peter, and thanks for making the announcement. That's right, you can find all the Wijk aan Zee coverage on Chess.com TV as Peter and Leonard Oets will be on site bringing it to you. We look forward to Wijk aan Zee, but we're not done with London yet, and we thank Peter for bringing us all the updates on the Kirsan Ilyumzhinov scandal.
So I'm with Kaja Marie Snare, chess reporter for TV2 in Norway, all the way from the Oslo studio. Hi Kaja, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine, thank you. So I'm sitting in the Norwegian studio right now where we're broadcasting London chess from.
Oh, very good, very good. Can you show a little bit of the studio itself, perhaps?
Yeah, sure. Just take my iPad and show it around. So that's the background, and then this is where our experts sit. We have 2 of them. And then the cameras, and here's the sound guy. Hey.
Great.
And this is where I sit for 7 hours yesterday when Magnus played that long game.
So yeah, what is the reaction in Norway? I mean, recently Magnus hasn't been playing too well, and for example, also in Reykjavik, his last event before London was so-so. He lost 16 points. So how did the Norwegians react to this?
You know, it's really disappointing because the problem is that it doesn't look like himself anymore. Usually when he's playing, tight positions, he's able to tip them into victory, and he's just not anymore. So we're getting a little bit worried. It's only, it's less than a year until the World Championships. And we really thought that he would start playing a little bit better in London, that his motivation would be back, but still something is not right.
Of course, you have covered the London tournament for 4 days now, and you have your experts in the studio. I think Jan Ludwig Hammer is there as well. So what do you think? What are the speculations? What are people thinking about for reasons for his slump?
No, we don't really have answers. And yesterday we also had Magnus's manager, Espen Agdestein, in the studio, and he also said that he was a little bit worried, that Magnus is a little bit worried, that they can't really find answers to why he's not playing as well, why he's not able to tip the games into victory. So I think they're still looking for the answers. And some experts feel like he has to try to find back his old self, being creative, being able to play the games on the board. And some experts feel like he should probably start thinking more about computers, preparations, maybe do a little bit more that other players are doing, other top players are doing. So I don't think even the experts agree on what he has to do to get back.
Right, yeah. It's tough, especially for him, of course. So yeah, before we close again, tell me your plans for the remainder of the London tournament. Where can people watch the show, and what are your future plans for the next tournaments Magnus is playing?
Yeah, so we show obviously London Chess, the final tournament of Grand Chess Tour. It's on Norwegian television and it's online on TV2.no. So people can go in there and see the show. And then we know Magnus is playing this Christmas in Qatar. I don't think we will be showing it because we don't have people able to work during Christmas.
Right.
But we will show the Tata Steel chess for sure. So that's going to be very interesting. And we know Magnus loves playing that tournament. So, and we know he's going to play the young Chinese boy. So that's going to be a very cool tournament.
Well, excellent. Sounds great. Thanks for your time and good luck. Good luck with another 5 rounds.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you again.
Welcoming back Max Dlugy, we now go to the dark side of the chessboard, and Blunder of the Week coming from about as strong of a player as you might think would ever play in a Title Tuesday. This from the early event where Hikaru struggled his way through, though he did eventually get redemption, tying for first with Max in the second. Here he was black against the player Nikita M, and he, unfortunately, Max, wasn't satisfied with the endgame he might get after queen takes a3. Probably black is a little better. Maybe he just wanted more winning chances. And he played the complicated bishop a4, overlooking something kind of gross. Tell the audience exactly what it is that Hikaru blundered into here.
Well, Hikaru blundered into... I tell my students, look at all the moves where smaller value pieces attack larger value pieces. Just even in blitz, you can actually afford to do that. And here, b2 to b4, goodbye, my friend Hikaru, goodbye, and look for the evening event to try to get redemption because you're not making it in this one.
Right.
You're losing your queen, for God's sakes. This is unbelievable. Unbelievable. How can you miss a move like that? Unbelievable.
It's so strange because I'm sure he calculated some version of like b3 and thought, oh, now I'll trade queens and use the b file along with an anchor idea. But like you said, it's kind of an unbelievable blunder to miss. We know Hikaru was not happy with that, and the game went on. I think he took on d1. Things got messy, but Hikaru resigned in a few moves and did not have his best chess that day. He did come back in the later evening, but sorry, buddy, we got to call you out for the blunder of the week. And we got to thank Max Dlugy once and for all before we let him go, and hope to see him on future ChessCenter episodes doing similar stuff like you see here.
Absolutely. See you later.
Well, even though you and I maybe haven't done our best work when trying to look through the binoculars or gaze into our crystal ball at what the results of these super tournaments will be, we're going to do it again, Sean. And taking a look at the London Chess Classic, it's been kind of wild. We've had, despite some really exciting and interesting chess, overall the results themselves have been pretty peaceful with a lot of draws. But other than Topolov's rough start, I think it's just about anybody's game still to win the London Chess Classic. And what do you think when you take a look at the second half here as far as the critical games and what you might expect to see, Sean?
Yeah, well, I'm a little bit shocked. It turns out that Topolov is unstoppalovable.
Yeah,
and that surprised me.
Blind with Snuffleupagus. Maybe he's got a future career on Sesame Street.
Oh, well, I'd watched Sesame Street for the first time in a long time, if that were to be the case. But it was good to see Nakamura come out with a win against Anand. That's not entirely surprising. He's got a great score against Anand, but good to see him convert an excellent game there. He also showed some humility in the post-game interview when asked about his winning streak, and maybe that has to do with his streak against Carlsen, but I thought it was a classy act for him to respond in that way. And aside from Nakamura, the leaders of the tournament haven't really, of the Grand Chess Tour, haven't really scored a lot of points here. So the tournament still seems to be wide open, and we'll see if maybe Topolov can get back on top and get the 150K.
Well said, and I agree that Nakamura showed class when asked about his ownership of Anand, and maybe because he's looking forward, got that Game 7 circled, just as all of you should have. Carlsen, Nakamura, Game 7. The London Chess Classic will be taking place. Mark your calendars. Watch it on Chess TV. If you're not watching all of it on Chess TV, I don't know quite what to do for you, but you probably have nothing better to do. So just make sure you watch all the rest of the shows on Chess TV. Sean and I will have our final recap of what took place in the final games of the London Chess Classic on next week's Chess Center, and we look forward to seeing all of you there. Well, the show is almost over, folks, and no one is more heartbroken about it than Sean McCoy, I can tell you that. But he does get to sit in for Mike Klein this week. Mike, or Sean, a Freudian slip right there. Are you ready to go?
I was born ready to be Mike.
Well, let's see how it goes under time trouble. Magnus Carlsen was on the BBC morning show, but the video segment they prepared was all about Bobby Fischer. Had many people really shocked and surprised. What do you think about this?
I think it's about as kosher as pork. About the secret championship in Ukraine, do you think this will help Muzychuk beat Hao Yifan in their world championship match?
Yeah, for those who don't know, it's a group of people helping her play a strong tournament, but trying to keep all the games under wraps. I still think Hao Yifan's a pretty heavy favorite either way. The Russian Cup is about to get started in Khanty-Mansiysk. Is this something we're going to follow closely, or do you even care?
I do not care. Dlugy, is he the best trash talker in the world? Better than you? Better at blitz?
He might be the best blitz and bullet trash talker in the world. I might have to concede victory to that. If you missed the video on Facebook, go check it out where he totally hands it to me. Now, speaking of Dlugy, he tied for first in a Title Tuesday, but we have still not seen a perfect 9-0 score. Will we ever get a 9-0 score in Title Tuesday, Sean?
Where there's Nakamura, there's hope. Speaking of Nakamura, it's his birthday on Wednesday, the off day. Is he happy about this?
You know, I don't think he is, because on December 9th, his birthday in the past, he's beaten both Vichy and Kramnik with black. If you asked him honestly, I bet he hoped that he'd be playing on that day. But with that said, time will tell whether or not it's going to make a difference if he's going to win the London Classic anyway. We will see all of you in next week's Chess Center, and we'll find out the answer to all these questions and more. Thanks for joining us.